What's up guys, it's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with another Destiny video, and in this video today we're going to be talking about in-game progression yet again. This is part of my new player guide. If you've hit level 20 after you've gone through the campaign, how to make the in-game a little bit more manageable and easier, how to make the most of your time, how to be more effective with your time in the game if you don't have a lot of time to actually play, and for more the casual players, this is a good way to kind of show you guys how you can acquire some good weapons and gear without having to dedicate a lot of time to the game. So today we're going to be talking about exotic bounties and whether or not you should go after them, whether or not you should actually do some of them. And so what I'm going to talk to you guys today about is the process that each one of those takes and the weapons and items you can actually get from those. Now, just to show you, I have a couple of these saved on my character just so I can show you what these are. These are basically what exotic bounties look like. Now, you will get these from either the Vanguard bounty robot in the tower, or you will get them from Eris Morn sometimes, not often. I haven't really seen too many of those. They basically look like this here. You'll see it's a Vanguard Mentor Missive. Turn this into Xander 9940, and that will basically start the exotic bounty. Now, I have that because I've already got 4 of these on my character I'm working on, and this one I guess is going to be for one of these other ones, and he gave me another one, so that is, I'm waiting on completing one of these before I can actually go in and use this. So, like I said, the ways you can get these, they're incredibly random. No one has really figured out exactly how they drop. It's completely RNG, just like everything else in the game. You can see here, Eris Morn offers bounties. You can do these, and sometimes she will award you a Vanguard Mentor Missive. Now, it's not going to be any different than the ones that are offered by the Vanguard robot. And I've only had one of these drop for me when turning in her bounties, and that's all the way going up to rank 4, which is a lot of experience with her. So pretty rare to get them from her, but you can get them from her. I've seen it a couple of times in other videos, and myself personally I've seen it once. So those will only, like I said, she's not going to give you a different one than the guy over here, so it doesn't matter. Just do a lot of bounties for both her and for Xander 9940 to increase your chances of getting one of those to drop. Now, like I said, it's completely RNG. You might get one, you might not. I know a lot of people who still haven't gotten many of these. Me, myself, personally, I've gotten all of them at least 3 or 4 times over, and I guess it's just because I run a lot of bounties during the day. Now, the one thing I will say is I have not seen these drop unless I turn in at least 3 to 5, at least anywhere between 3 and 6 bounties. I've never had them drop just turning in 1 or 2, but this is just all you do. You do your bounties, stack them up, come in here, and drop them off. And, you see he didn't give me anything that time, but, when you get one, it'll pop up with a little yellow, one of these right here, Vanguard Mentor Missive, and it will give you an exotic bounty. Now, there are 5 exotic bounties that you can receive from him, and I'm going to talk about what each of those are, but I'm going to go to orbit here real quick and then go down to the Cosmodrome because I want to be able to show you guys some of these weapons as well. I do have a couple of them on my character that I'll let you guys take a quick look at. We're going to try not to make this episode run too long here. I don't want to ramble on that much, but we'll see. We're kind of at the mercy of loading screens here too, which do take up a little bit of time. So we're just going to head down here to patrol so I can go hang out on the rooftop and have a nice little spot to go over some of these weapons. Now, like I said, guys, the best way to do this is just keep on doing those bounties every day. Try to maximize, turn in 3 or 4 or 5 at a time, and try to maximize your chances at getting this. And there's, like I said, there's 5 of them. And one will give you bad Juju. The other will give you Invective, which is a shotgun. There's one for super good advice, which is a machine gun. And then there's also one for Pocket Infinity, which is a fusion rifle. And Thorn, which is a hand cannon and one of the most sought after weapons in this game because it just completely wrecks in PvP.
I'm already picking up.
And I'm gonna get into that and tell you guys the benefits of each of these weapons and whether or not they're worth your time to get, because I know a lot of them do have different components. Jump fail. There's at least one jump fail in every one of these videos. They do have several components when you get these, so it can take you a while. Some are very easy to do. Some require Xur, some require PvP and PvE. It just kind of depends. So we're going to go over each one of these in detail. So let me start with probably the easiest one to get, and that's going to be super good advice. Now, this is a exotic heavy machine gun. You can take a look at it here. Pretty clear sight lines on the scope. and this is solar damage. It does have a lot of recoil. That is one of the big disadvantages to this weapon. Using it at range is not advisable until you get some of the perks unlocked. This is a very cool looking machine gun. This looks kind of like New Monarchy weapons in terms of its paint job. I like this gun. It's pretty good. It used to really be awful before some of the exotic weapon patches, but you know, this is for after patch 1.1.1 included. This weapon is actually pretty usable. It depends on your playstyle, as most everything else does. So let's take a look at super good advice real quick. In general, you can get a nicer look at it here. Now this is actually the easiest exotic weapon to acquire. And the bounty, I believe, for this is called a Voice in the Wilderness, and the first step of it will tell you to go and search loot catches on Mars until you find the weapon. Now all that means is you're going to go to Mars, you're going to run around and open chests. There's a couple chest farming routes you can look up on YouTube that are pretty easy, and eventually one of the chests you open will give you a gun frame. It's going to be a little yellow gun frame. After that, you will have to you take it to the gunsmith, and he's going to tell you that you have to buy a part from Xur. And so you're going to have to wait until Xur shows up on the weekend. It will cost you 1 strange coin, and you're going to purchase an ammunition module from Xur, which you will put into the gun, and that will give you the next step of the bounty, which is to basically get 500 kills with heavy machine guns. Now, that can be in either PvP or PvE. It's actually easier to do in PvE, and if you get this bounty when Xur is up during the weekend, you can actually get this done in about 2 or 3 hours, or faster, depending on where you're at, and how much heavy ammo you have, and how many heavy ammo packs you've got. That 500 kill bounty, basically there's a couple little things on there. Precision kills with a heavy machine gun will get it done faster. They count for more points than just the normal kills. And if you use a rocket launcher at any time during that part of the bounty, it will subtract kills from your count. So just stick with a heavy machine gun. Try to find one that has high stability and a big magazine so you can make the most of your heavy ammo packs. And you can just run around on patrols and just, you know, there's a couple of good areas on Earth and the Moon where you just go around and just kill everything with a heavy machine gun, and you'll get that bounty done in no time. Once you finish that 500 kill step, you go back to, I believe, the gunsmith, and he gives you super good advice. So this is the easiest one to acquire, and it's a pretty good weapon. You can see here the stability starts off not the greatest, especially when you saw the recoil using it at range. That's really this gun's biggest downfall, is its range. But you can see you've got CQB ballistics, gives you a little bit more stability. You've got upgrade damage. Actually, crowd control is the first perk here. Kills with this weapon grant bonus damage for a short time. This is great for using this gun up close. I wouldn't use this in PvP. To me, it's not a great heavy machine gun for PvP, just because of the range and the stability is not that great. Now, you can do flared magwell for reload speed. That's another poor thing on this weapon, is the reload speed, and hand loaded will give you a bit more range. So you're probably going to want to use one of those 2 perks at the end there. Now, this exotic's main perk is super good advice. Almost all the shots that miss your target will return to your magazine. So basically, if you are just going to town with this, you got the trigger held down, and you know you're missing everything with it. The shots that you miss will basically, like all those shots you see that I'm missing, they would normally just reload right back into the magazine without having to do anything. But you can see it's very hard to use this at long range, unlike some of your other machine guns like the MG18 Harm's Way and Against All Odds, weapons that you can use from long range. In terms of your heavy slot, this is not one of them. Where this really excels for me is if you're playing a Warlock or a Titan with a melee build and you're going to be up close using shotguns and short range weapons, this thing can really do some work up close. You know, on minion enemies. I wouldn't really recommend this for bosses unless you're doing like a Solar Nightfall or something, but it's overall it's a decent weapon if you're planning on using it up close. But don't think you're going to be sniping at long range with this. Like, you look at my Against All Odds, you look at the range, and compared to that, it's just you can use that from such a longer distance. MG18 doesn't quite have the range of the Against All Odds, but it's still, in my opinion, a better performing machine gun than super good advice. So that's couple things you have to take into account there. We'll get into that a little bit more at the end of the video here. I just wanted to cover super good advice for you real quick. Okay, so then moving on to another exotic. This is Invective, which is a shotgun, and to get this, I actually do have another one of these I'm working on right here. You can see here, Invective Uncharged. This is actually the bounty. I'm in the last stage of it, and I'm going to try to remember what exactly you have to do to get this one. Now let's take a look at Invective. The sun is not really shining too well, but there you get a good, nice look. It's got a nice gunmetal gray with some orange aesthetics on it. This reminds me of the Forerunner weapons from Halo 4. This is actually a very good shotgun. Let's see if there's any cannon fodder down here we can try it out on. I don't see any. We'll run over here just to show you guys how this works. Now, this shotgun is very, very good. It's a great exotic weapon. It's probably one of the better exotic bounties that you can do, and this perk is, the cool thing is you do get full auto with it, so that's really, it comes in handy a lot. It's got decent range and decent impact. It's not as good as like Fellwinter's Lie or some of the vendor shotguns in terms of that, but overall, for an exotic weapon that you can get pretty much for free, it's very good. And like I said, one of the better exotics. So there you can see, just very quickly there, how effective Invective is, and it's looks very good. It's got a very clean sight, and like I said, just one of the better looking weapons in the game overall. So let's take a look at Invective a little bit more in depth here, and you can see there the gray with the little orange accents on it. This is also a solar shotgun, and you can see the main perk. It's full auto right out of the box, so you don't even have to unlock that. That's a really nice perk for using on in PvE, and also this is a good PvP weapon as well. Now you can see the statistics there. It's not really the greatest across the board. It's more of a general kind of just overall very well-rounded shotgun. You've only got a 4-round magazine. You do have fitted stock if you want to increase the stability a little bit, but I do like using Send It. Range is very important on shotguns to get that one-hit kill potential, so you want to keep this weapon, in terms of that, you want to keep the range up on this. Now, the title of this bounty, I believe, is called A Task from Ikora. You will get this from the Vanguard guy, and then you have to go see Ikora Ray. The first step of this is you're going to have to do 5 strikes without dying. Now, if you die, it does not reset your progress, so don't worry about that. I usually just run the Vanguard playlist, or just go into a level like the Devil's Lair. If there's a strike that you're really, really good at, just go into it on the regular planet strike and do it over and over again. And 5 strikes without dying, you should be able to get that pretty quick, maybe even just play in your playlist. And then after that, you go back to Ikora and you have to turn this in. The second step is in PvP. She's going to tell you need to get, basically it says a 25, the way they word it's very confusing. It says you basically have to get a 25 kill to death type ratio. And that confuses a lot of people and intimidates a lot of people. I know a lot of people who have dropped this bounty because they think it means they have to get like a 25 KD in the Crucible, and that's not actually how it works. It's actually points. You have to get 25 points. Now, you will get a point for a kill, you'll get a point for an assist, and you'll get -1 point for a death. So basically what you have to do is just make sure you're getting that your kills and your assists kind of are more than your deaths. So you don't even have to really get a positive KD to get this step of the bounty. You just have to make sure you're getting a lot of assists and a lot of kills. And this will be very easy if you're a good PvP player. But I'm going to tell you right now, when I did this bounty the first time, I was garbage at PvP. I don't think my overall KD was even like 0.5, and I was able to get this step of the bounty done because using an auto rifle, just get a lot of bullets on target. So if somebody else kills it, you're getting an assist. That's just there's different ways to do that. But as long as you get a bunch of assists and a couple kills now and then, you can keep it may take you a few games, but you can keep that ratio positive in terms of the bounty, and you'll get the 25 points. Somewhat, it took me about 5 games, I think, the first time I did it. Now I can do it in 1 or 2 games since I'm a much better PvP player. But overall, if you're not very good at PvP, do not let that intimidate you from trying to get this weapon, because you can still achieve it, and I'm the perfect example of that, because I really was not the greatest at PvP. Now, the next step after that is you're going to have to complete a weekly activity. When that can be a weekly strike, that can be a nightfall strike as well. So that can be tough if you're a solo player. You have to use the LFG site, or hopefully get a weekly that you can actually solo on your own. That's how I did it the first time I got this bounty. And after you get that, you'll get to the step that I'm currently on with it, which is purchase an Invective shotgun component from the gunsmith. Now, this will require 50 special ammo synthesis packs. So the easiest way I've found to do that is just to buy them from the gunsmith. It'll cost you about somewhere between 12,000 and 13,000 glimmer. So you see there, I've got 23,000 saved up. I could go buy all those right now and just finish this off if I wanted to. And then once you do that, you get your 50 special ammo synthesis. You turn them in, and he will give you Invective. And like I said, you get full auto right out of the box. It's a solar damage shotgun. You've got accurized ballistics, field choke, and linear compensator. Final round, so the last round deals more damage. This is especially good since you've only got a 4-round magazine, and you can dump that pretty fast with full auto. You've got upgrade damage, quick draw, fitted stock, and send it, which is what I would suggest using to increase that one-hit kill potential. Now the cool thing with Invective, it regenerates ammunition over time. Now this is not like Icebreaker, which, you know, somewhat quickly regenerates your ammunition. This actually regenerates your reserve ammunition, and it can take quite a while. I don't know the exact time on it, but it takes a very long time. You won't really notice it happening, but if you're not using your shotgun for a while and you switch back to it, you'll notice that you do have some extra ammunition, and that's a good perk. You know, if you're running anything with juggler on it, that can come in handy quite a bit. But it's not an amazing perk like with Icebreaker with no backpack, where you'll see that ammo coming back really fast. And the rest of this is all upgrade damage. And then just to compare, I've got my Fellwinter's Lie here. You can see the impact is a lot higher. There's a lot higher impact shotguns out there with some better perks on them, but Invective is, like I said, it's one you can get for free pretty much if you have an exotic bounty. You're just going to need that glimmer to buy the packs, and then you're going to need a little bit of patience in PvP. But otherwise, this is probably, I would say, it's one of the ones worth definitely getting if you can grab this weapon. So that is Invective, kind of in a nutshell there. Let's switch back over to something else. Okay, now we're going to go over, there's two different primary weapons that you can get for the exotic bounty. This is Bad Juju, and I'm trying to see if I do have, okay, this will be Toland's Journal is the name of the exotic bounty you'll get for this one. And Bad Juju is an exotic pulse rifle. It used to be bad, like really bad, and then they buffed it a few times, and it's now become a very good weapon. But even when it was bad, I still liked it because this is just a very cool looking pulse rifle. And the main perk on this pulse rifle is it is fully automatic, and I believe that's right out of the box, so you can definitely take advantage of that. It's kind of like Invective where you get full auto right as soon as you get the weapon, but very cool looking gun. And you can see that green energy swirling off the end of it. That actually used to block your sight when you were trying to aim, but they've since patched that so it no longer affects that. You can still see a little wisp or two coming off, but overall this is a very cool looking exotic pulse rifle. One of my favorite looking weapons in the game, and you can get a better look at here. It's got like a little bird skull on the end of it, and it's like some straps. It just looks like it was cobbled together from some dead enemies, which really cool looking weapon. You can see there, Toland the Shattered has the little quote to go along with it. Now, this will take a little bit of time to get. There's a couple different components on this bounty. The first one is that you have to complete a weekly strike or a nightfall strike. Now, this is really weird because this bounty has been bugged a few times I've done it. You can actually, if you're running the strike playlist and the strike comes up that's also the same strike as the weekly and the nightfall, sometimes it will award that first step. But if you want to just go ahead and make sure you're going to get it done, then do whatever the weekly strike is. And you can solo that, or if you get some buddies together, you can go run the nightfall pretty quickly. Pretty quick step there that you can get done. Now the second part of this bounty is what I'm currently on with the other one I have. You can see there, track down fragments of Toland's Journal by completing strikes on any destination. And you basically have to complete 25 strikes to advance this step. Now, just a little tidbit here, the weekly and the nightfall strike will both count as 2 strikes. So if you want to run those, you can run the weekly a couple times. Or you can just run Vanguard playlist and take your time doing it. But that's going to be the longest part of this bounty, is doing those 25 strikes. I recommend just doing the Vanguard Rock playlist if you have it, or the Vanguard Tiger, so you're at least getting some rewards and hopefully some engrams while you're running through this, and you can stack up on some other gear. But that's going to take you a little bit of time to get done. Now, once you finish the 25 strikes, you will then have to go into a PvP part of the bounty, and that's going to be, it's going to tell you to get 10,000 points in the Crucible. Now again, some people misread that, and they think it's like I have to get 10,000 kills. It's not. It's 10,000 points, and you get, I believe, 50 points for Hunter and Titan, and 75 points for each Warlock. And it can take you a little bit of time. Again, if you're not very good at PvP, it will take you quite a little bit of time, a couple of games. If you're very good at PvP, you can do it really quickly. It just kind of depends. It took me about 4 or 5 games to do it, and some people I have done it faster than that. And if you're not, like I said, not good at PvP, it can take you a while. The nice thing is, though, if you do get killed, it's not going to take, it doesn't subtract any points like the Invective bounty or the Thorn bounty. So this is definitely, even if you're not a great PvP player, you can definitely do that step and get this weapon. And I believe after you finish that, that is it. Then you go and you get your Bad Juju. And you can see here it's got full auto right out of the box. It's kinetic damage, smooth ballistics, soft ballistics, and you have smart drift control, which I usually use alternate between soft ballistics and smart drift control depending on how much range I want to get. It does have hip fire, not a great perk for a pulse rifle, but it's not bad. You can upgrade damage. You've got armor piercing rounds, you have send it, and you also have perfect balance. I usually will use send it because the recoil on this thing is really not too bad. You can see here it's manageable. I mean, depending on how good a shot you are and how good you are with your controls, it's got a very manageable recoil, so I usually go for more range, especially if I'm going to use this in PvP. Now with the recent pulse rifle buff, this has become a very good weapon to use overall. Now the main exotic perk here is String of Curses. After each kill, this weapon will reload instantly and increase damage for a short amount of time. Kills will also charge your super. So basically, as long as you are getting kills with this, it reloads your in-gun magazine instantly. So if you are just mowing down guys one after the other with this perk, you will never have to reload this weapon. This is a very useful perk. However, it's not very effective against majors and enemies with shields that you have to put a little bit more bullets into. This is mainly going to be useful when you're doing patrols and bounties and things. You can just mow through dregs and fallen vandals and things like that a lot easier. Now the cool thing with this is that every kill you get with this will charge up your super a bit faster. That's always really good. That works great for all three classes. The class that this really shines with is if you have a Voidwalker Warlock and you're using the Obsidian Mind, which is basically it's a helm that gives you, every time you use your Nova Bomb and all the kills you get with your Nova Bomb, like instantly recharge part of your super. So if you pair these together, you can, like on the Abyss part of the Crota raid, I mean, you can just go to town and be throwing out Nova Bombs like every 5 seconds. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it works very well also for other areas of PvE. So you see their upgrade damage is the rest there, so that's pretty much bad Juju. Like I said, one of my favorite weapons. I really love the way this looks. I even used this when it was not very good because I just liked having a cool looking weapon. And again, this is an exotic weapon you can get for the bounty. So I think this is definitely worth your time to put in and get it. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the last two here. I unfortunately don't have the actual weapons to show you. I used to have a Pocket Infinity, but I dismantled it because I got another bounty, and the other one was an old one, and I didn't want to spend the coins on Zero to upgrade it. So this is an unstable prototype fusion rifle frame. I don't remember what this bounty is called. I think it's called Shattered Memory Fragment. Okay, that's what it is. And the first part of this, you have to track down Fire Team's Last Stand. If you want to do that, you go to Venus, and there is a You'll go through the first area of Venus, and if you check those rooms that are off kind of on the side when you first come into the Ishtar area, you'll find, like, there's an area you go, there's a big statue, where the statue, I guess that's of Ishtar, and there's a little area there where a bunch of fallen kind of roam around. If you make a left and go in there, you go down into the area where you first go on the Stranger's Call. If you just go past the statue, there's a room right on the left-hand side where the fallen spawn out of. Go in that room, there's going to be a ghost laying on the floor. You pick up the ghost, and it basically gives you the next step. The next step is to kill a Gate Lord on Heroic, so you just do the Eye of a Gate Lord mission on Heroic. You kill the Gate Lord, it will drop a part you need for this weapon. And then you get this part that I'm on right here. Or no, actually, I'm sorry. Then comes actually the hardest, the second hardest part of the bounty, is you have to dismantle 10 rare fusion rifles. So that's any blue fusion rifle pretty much, and it just depends. This is just going to depend on if you have any in the vault, if you have any saved up, if they drop for you in strikes, or if the gunsmith is selling them. It's usually very easy to wait for the gunsmith to sell them, and he'll just buy 10 of them from him, because this honestly can take you a while. It took me quite a couple of days actually to get all the fusion rifles I needed. And you'll need 10 of these, and you basically just dismantle them. They'll give you a part that you put into the fusion rifle, and once you get 10 of them, it will charge up the fusion rifle frame, and then you will take it to the gunsmith. And then he's going to give you this step here, unstable prototype fusion rifle frame. This part, you have to kill 200 enemies in a weekly nightfall strike until the fusion rifle stabilizes. That can sound kind of daunting, because who really wants to use a fusion rifle through an entire nightfall strike? However, there is a way around this. This part of the bounty is bugged. I have a couple of quick guide videos on this, how to do this part. Basically, when you spawn into a weekly nightfall strike, you go to any area of the map that is instanced for you. So, say if you're on the Nexus, If you spawn into the Nexus, you turn around, you go up the stairs, you go to that library in the Ishtar Academy where you first go on Stranger's Call. There's going to be a bunch of Vex and a bunch of Fallen fighting. They will actually scale to the Nightfall strike level. Now, when you go into those areas of the map where it's just you by yourself, the Nightfall stuff will be in effect. So if there's a burn modifier, you'll get in there using that kind of damage, you'll get killed faster, so be careful of that. But that also works in your favor. What I like to do, like this week, it's the Nexus with Void damage. If you go into the Nexus Strike, turn around, run up the steps, go back into the library area, you have a Void Fusion Rifle, you can just mow down all those guys in like one hit apiece. And basically you can go through there, get 30 to 40 kills each time, go back to orbit, come back down, and just rinse and repeat that until you get your 200 kills. So you don't actually have to go into a Nightfall Strike. This will work on any planet that has those instance areas where you, like if you go into a room, you know how it just kind of spawns you by yourself, and everybody, if there's other people around you that aren't your fire team, they disappear. Any of those areas on any planet, Earth, Moon, Venus, Mars, you'll be able to do that, and any kills you get in those areas. The enemies are going to scale up to the Nightfall level, so be careful of that, but any of those kills you get will count towards this, and you can get those 200 done pretty quickly. And then after that step, you'll get your Pocket Infinity. Like I said, I don't have it here to look at. It's a very neat looking fusion rifle. One of the main perks on it is it gets this rapid fire perk and has a chance to return shots to the magazine. So as you're shooting it, it can sometimes just refill. And it's normally a 3-round fusion rifle. It used to have some perks on it before that made it absolutely ridiculously overpowered, but Bungie kind of nerfed it and removed some of those perks. So now if you're lucky, when you get the Pocket Infinity perk on there, you can get about 5 to 8 shots if you're really lucky with it. It's still a very good fusion rifle to get. It's solar damage like everything else in the game for some reason. But it's a decent fusion rifle, and you get it, like I said, for free if you get the exotic bounty. It's not as, to me personally, it's not as good as Plan C in general. I think Plan C is a much more well-rounded fusion rifle you can use in a lot of different areas, but Pocket Infinity can be a very good fusion rifle for PvP because of its very fast fire rate once you get the perks unlocked on it. That's pretty much it for Pocket Infinity. We're going to move on to the last weapon you can get from the exotic bounties. And I have this here. It's the depleted hand cannon. This actually will give you the Thorn. And this is called A Light in the Dark, I believe is the name of this bounty. And this gives you Thorn. It's a hand cannon. It's a primary weapon. It's the second primary besides Bad Juju. And again, I don't have this because this is the first time I've actually made it this far on this bounty. This is probably the hardest exotic bounty in the game, but it's worth it because this weapon is absolutely amazing in PvP, and I also think it's pretty good in PvE. What you're going to have to do for this one, you're going to get Light in the Dark bounty offered, and you take that one. You have to go do the Summoning Pit Strike to start it. Now you can do that on the level 12 one, the normal one, or you can just run it through the Vanguard strikes, whatever you want to do, just run that strike, and that'll complete the first step on it. The second step is you have to kill 500 Hive on the moon. So basically you're just going to go up to the moon. If you'd like to do missions, you can do that. What I usually like to do is just put on a Black Wax Idol and run through the Temple of Crota and go through the whole underground area and just wipe out all the Hive I can, rinse and repeat a few times, and you'll get 500 Hive. Now that brings me to the step we're on right here, which is one of the more difficult ones. And if you're not a decent PvP player, this will probably give you fits. You have to get 500, basically 500 points. This is not 500 kills. Some people mistake it for that, but it's 500 points, and it only counts if you're using Void damage. So this is if you have a Void fusion rifle, if you have a Void machine gun, like you can see here, I got my Void Yolder's hammer. I do have a Void fusion rifle. I actually just picked this up for this bounty Alpha Vanguard Rock Strike. And then I had also re-rolled my Fellwizard's Lie just to get a Void damage shotgun for this. And then you've also got maybe a Void sniper you can use. There are 2 Void primary weapons in the game. One is the Word of Crota. It's a hand cannon you get from hard mode Crota. The other is, I think it's Atheon's Epilogue, which you get from running the Vault of Glass. That's an auto rifle. I think if you're going to be doing this bounty, you're probably better off using the hand cannon. But again, it just depends on your playstyle. Now, assists, I believe, as long as you get assists and kills with this, it will count towards your total. You get 5 points for every kill with a Void weapon, and you get -2 for every death. Now, keep in mind that every death, it doesn't matter if you're using a Void weapon or not. If you die, it takes off 2 points. So this bounty I have picked up, and I've dropped it twice already because the PvP part just takes a long time. And I was not very good at PvP the first time I got this weapon, so what would happen is I would go a couple games, I get up to 30 or 40 points, I'd have one bad game, and that would all be erased. And that's really the frustrating part of this bounty. You do have to sometimes be one of those jerks and camp. Control is a good way to play this. Sort of camp at the flags and just take out people as they come in. Try to play a bit more patient. You don't want to be rushing in. What I've found has helped me this time is I've really tried to grab that heavy ammunition and then sit back with my heavy machine gun and try to rack up 5 or 6 kills with that to get a quick 25, 30 points to give me a little bit of a cushion. But this is a bounty I do anticipate taking a little bit of time unless you're just very, very good at PvP. And if you have one of those void primary weapons, that's another problem with me. I don't have either of the void primary weapons. I love hand cannons in this game, and I'm pretty sure if I had Word of Crota, I would just blow right through this because I'm pretty good with hand cannons in the Crucible. But this is going to boil down to how much you really want it and whether or not you're good at PvP. If you're not very good at PvP, I'm going to just tell you right now, you probably shouldn't waste your time with this. It can be done. I've heard people who weren't good at PvP have finished this, but you just have to camp a lot. It's going to take you a very long time to get it done. Like I said, Thorn is probably worth it. It's one of the best weapons in the game, probably one of the best exotics in the game. But you can honestly live without it. If you've got Hawk Moon or if you've got the Last Word or another good hand cannon you like, you can live without it. But it's a very, very good weapon. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to really try to delve into it too much more. Now here's the thing, when you get those 500 void kills, you're not done yet. That's another part of this bounty. You get that part done, then you have to go into a special, I think it's a level 26 version of the Summoning Pit Strike. You have to get to Fogoth, and it's going to be a strike that has that epic modifier on it, so a lot of the enemies, the knights, the wizards, are going to have extra shields. The knights are going to all be shielded. It's just going to be a royal pain in the butt to do. When you get to Fogoth in that strike, you actually have to whittle him down and wait for, I believe it's the third ship that comes and drops off enemies when he gets to a certain health point. When that ship comes, it's going to spawn a wizard called Zyor the Unwed. He is going to be a major. You have to kill him, and when you kill him, it will drop the last part of this bounty that you need. At that point, you can just exit the strike and go to orbit, or you can finish it off. But that will be the last part of the strike, and if you don't have 2 other people you can team up with, that can be pretty difficult. You can solo it, but it's going to be very hard. But you can also check the Bungie forums or the LFG sites and try to find some people to help you out. Usually people are pretty good about helping you out with that bounty, with the end part there, if you need to do the Summoning Pit Strike part of it. So overall, you can see this Thorn bounty is very, very in-depth. It's very difficult. It has a lot of really difficult steps compared to the other 4 bounties you can get. But again, it yields you probably one of the best 3 or 4 exotics in the game. If you're willing to go through all that pain, you will definitely get a weapon that is worth using. Now, Thorn, from what I've heard, is not great in PvE, but as I've found with a lot of other weapons, that just boils down to a person's playstyle and their opinion of a weapon. I've heard, like with the Last Word, a lot of people say it sucks in PvE, but I personally really enjoy using it on my Titan and my Warlock because you can play it in a close range melee build and it absolutely destroys PvE enemies up close with the hip fire. So it all boils down to personal preference. But Thorn, I will tell you this, in PvP, this weapon is ridiculous. It's basically a 2-hit precision kill anywhere on the map, and it has a special perk called the Devourer, which does extra damage over time, like a poison effect. It turns enemies green and continues to damage them over time, kind of like the fireball, the solar grenades the Warlocks use, the solar attacks. It will continue to damage them over time, and it's helpful in PvP because if they manage to duck behind cover, sometimes you'll still get the kill, and if not, you can see where they are because you see the little numbers ticking off their body. So overall, that is Thorn, and that's pretty much it in terms of the exotic bounties you can receive. Now, like I said, it's all going to boil down to what really what you want to do and how much time you have to do it. Bad Juju is definitely worth doing. Invective is worth doing. Super Good Advice is just so quick. It's, if you're looking for a heavy machine gun, that's an easy one to do. But Super Good Advice to me is not worth using over another legendary in your exotic slot. And that's the main point to these exotic bounties. You really have to figure out, as with any exotic, is it worth your primary, or is it worth your exotic slot? Because you can only use one. So you can see here, I've got a lot of exotic primary weapons. Surus Regime is really good. Last Word is really good. Universal Remote is really good if you're running around, doing everything in melee range. Hard Light's pretty decent. Red Death is very good in all aspects of the game. And you have to kind of decide, is it going to be worth using a Super Good Advice over another exotic that you have. Is it worth using Invective over, say, Felwinter's Lie or Black Hammer or Flug One or whatever other legendary you have? That's always going to be what you want to think about when you're using exotic weapons. I would say Bad Juju is definitely worth using, depending on what build you're running. Like I said, use Super Recharge is very helpful. That pair I mentioned on the Warlock is really good. I actually like to use this with my Defender Titan because I have him set up to where he's basically an orb generator. Force Barrier generates orbs. My Ward of Dawn generates orbs. The heavy weapon kills generate orbs. So I like to have my super up a lot with Defender so I can pop my bubble, pop some more orbs out, and Bad Juju helps recharge that super really quick. So I found it's very helpful in running with that as well. So like I said, you have to figure out, is it going to be worth it? Now, if you're more of a casual player, don't have a lot of time, then it's possible you have not been able to get too many exotic weapons. So in that case, you probably definitely want to do these to pick up a couple exotics to add to your arsenal. If not, you're going to maybe be buying these from Xur. But I definitely think, Bad Juju is worth using. There's really a couple other good legendaries you can run with too in terms of your primary slot. If you're doing that, then Invective is definitely a good choice for a shotgun, for PvE, especially with that ammo regeneration. And it's also a good shotgun for the Crucible if you don't have any of the other ones like Felwinter's Lie or some of the other vendor shotguns that are available. If you don't want to grind for those, Invective is definitely worth picking up. Super good advice. Like I said, it's a pretty, it's kind of a shame because this is a really nice looking machine gun, but overall it's probably the worst of the 5. Thorn being the best in my opinion. If you wanted to rank them from 1 to 5, I'd say Thorn is the best one. Bad Juju and Invective are probably sort of next after that. Pocket Infinity and then your super good advice. Pocket Infinity, like I said, is pretty good fusion rifle, but I just feel like there's so many better legendary options, and it's also, to me, not as good as Plan C. So that's just going to come down to your personal preference, really. Anyways, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope I haven't rambled on too long with this video, and hope you've been able to get a good idea of how you can maximize your time and decide which one of those bounties you want to go after if you get them. But remember, it's all comes down to RNG, so really the best way you're going to have a better chance to get these is just running your exotic bounties every single day, or running your regular bounties, I'm sorry, and turning those in every single day. And that's going to increase your chances. Anyways, guys, if you have any comments to add, if anybody has anything else they'd like to add, please put it down below. In terms of talking about the effectiveness of these weapons, especially Thorn, since that's one I'm still working on getting, which I'll hopefully have very soon. Anyways, guys, this ran a little bit longer than I wanted, but I hope you stuck with it and enjoyed this video. I hope you get lucky and get some of these exotic bounties and are able to add to your arsenal. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time.